So at the end of the last episode, we talked about how confusing it is for teenagers in church on how to date.
Yep.
But we also mentioned that nobody talks to anyone above 18 about how to date.
Okay. Yeah.
Basically.
Right.
Like no one tells the 30-year-olds what they're supposed to do in dating. So talk about that. How should 30-year-olds date?
Yeah. And I think what's interesting too is like for some of them, they came through some of these environments and youth groups, right? And like told like basically don't date.
Right.
And then they didn't date in high school and they're still not dating in college. And then they kind of end up in their mid to late 20s and going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait, what's, like friends are getting married or engaged and I'm not, and what's happening here, And I've actually had someone like lament over the fact of how they were told to date in high school because it impacted them and led them to be single into their 30s.
Yeah.
And so, so you're absolutely right. There's that. There's like the residual effect of that going into, adulthood. But then, you're right. If there's individuals in their 30s or 40s, and I think this is one of the tough parts that you hear a lot of singles speak about in Christian circles is the lack of single groups in churches for these age brackets.
Right.
It's like after you get past like the young adult group that usually is like early, early to mid 20s, like let's say like 19 to, 25.
Do you feel like there's a general gap in speaking to those people about anything at all?
I don't know if there's a general gap there can be.
Okay.
It's especially if churches are like really big on talking about marriage and talking about parenting, and that's a lot of their Sunday morning type sermons.
Right.
Then you're missing. You're not even speaking to a whole group of people.
Yeah.
And I think that's really tough. I know for me, when I was out of college, I was still early 20s, but moved here, and our church didn't have anything for my age range, and so I actually went to another church's single group. Okay. And they actually had and it was pretty cool. Like they had, singles, going from like, again, right out of high school to late 20s, and then they had a singles group going from, 30 plus. Right. And so like they actually, I thought did a pretty good job. And there was a big group of us, in there. And that's actually where I got to know my wife better, was actually there as opposed to even our own church.
In the singles group?
Mm-hmm, in the singles group, yeah. And so,
right.
Yeah, so that's actually where I got to know her a little better. And
then
so,
you went to Starbucks after that.
A lot of Starbucks, yeah, all the time. No, I don't know. I don't even know if there was a Starbucks at that point in time in Noonan. So, but there's,
You just mentioned where we live.
Oh, my bad.
Wow.
We'll cut that out too. All right. So, anyway, my point is being, it's like,
I don't live there.
Psych. All right. So I think that there's a lot of individuals that go to churches that don't have something they have to, and I think a good option actually is to go to another singles group. Like I was actually on staff at our other church I was on staff at church, having to go to another church for the singles group.
Yeah.
And that was fine. And so I think sometimes we do have to do that.
You couldn't just use your authority to assume a wife that was at the church?
It'd be like, you.
Yeah.
I have decided.
Come to my office.
Right. Nope.
You're mine now.
No, that definitely is not the way it goes. At all. Oh, God. That'd be horrifying. And so I think that I think there is a need for those individuals to be ministered to, not just in single groups, but in churches as a whole. Like, like they should be included in things. Like it shouldn't always be like the couples group here or the young marrieds here or whatever it may be. I do think we need to do a better job as a church to specifically include singles in what we're doing. And I think there's a lot of different ways to do that. But in terms of dating, though, I do think that there's the need for these kind of groups and for them to have these kind of conversations of what does dating look like at our stages of life, of our seasons of life, because it is going to look really different. And you're probably not going to be as like, and especially as you get into your 30s and your 40s, you're not going to want to just, date around a lot with individuals that you know are not serious about marriage, or that you feel like could be someone that you could, be with, that you could see yourself with, like, you're probably going to be moving pretty quick. And then when it's like decided, that's probably going to move quick too, right? In other words, the dating time with that individual, the engagement time with that individual is probably not going to be as long as someone that's like early 20s, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But no, I do think that there needs to be there needs to be a specific and intentional, approach to individuals to go, hey, this is, what it can look like. And let's talk about, and I think maybe I think instead of like lecturing, probably the better way to do it is really to ask questions. Gather, like, what do you think it looks like? What have you seen? How is this different than what you were taught, when you were in youth group growing up in church?
I think part of it needs to be like stuff for them to do that isn't, let's sit in chairs and listen to someone speak directly to us.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like events that aren't church events, but that the church puts on.
Right. I agree.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's like we have to have the single 30s Bible study, but not the single 30s let's all go bowling together or whatever.
Right.
Like, they don't do that.
No. And so I mentioned in the last episode that I have a friend that started up this ministry. And that's one of the things they've done. So, like, because, again, it's like, low thousands have connected to this group. Like, it's a lot of people that have connected to this group. But what they've done is they have identified, like, okay, hey, there's a lot of people, like, for example, like, we're in the state of Georgia. So, like, let's say you're around the Atlanta area. Hey, we're going to have this event in the Atlanta area on this date for this group. Like, and then you have people coming from kind of all over the metro Atlanta area to connect with this group of people. And then you get to know people, have a community together, go do things together. Hey, we're going to all go to Atlantic Station and, hang out up there, right? Cool. Like, at least now you're forming a community. Mm-hmm. And I am to do those kind of activities. But I lament the fact that that's not there on just a really local level,
right?
Within churches. And again, I think, like, for example, the church that I was, going to the singles group with, I think they actually did a really good job of making singles feel included and important, an important part of their church community. And so I think that's awesome. But and then some churches just don't even have the capacity, like, you're like, we've got 2 people in that age range,
right?
Yeah. So, okay, encourage them to go connect with another group. Doesn't mean they have to leave the church.
Yeah.
Go connect with another group.
Is the dating process the same that you said for these people?
Yes, in the sense that we still want to do it in a healthy manner.
Okay.
That is guarding us in terms of emotional intimacy, physical intimacy, still with the goal of loving God and honoring and respecting the other, still with the goal of, I want to get to know you, all this, like, having the conversations. So yes, that process is the same, but as I said earlier, it may move a little quicker in terms of how long do we want the dating to actually go? How long do we want the engagement to actually be before the wedding? Just, again, based on an individual's comfort level in that, and that can change from age group, age range to age range, but also, the age range may have something to do with it too, and that's okay. So
based on, good enough.
Yeah,
this is fine.
Or hopefully based on.
I'm tired of looking.
You'll do.
Yeah.
No, hopefully it's.
You'll do. Yeah.
Hopefully it's way more than that.
Yeah.
So.